The broken home, the Malibu estate, stood like a glass fortress against the Pacific, all sharp angles and silence. Daniel Mercer paced the marble foyer, his tie knotted too tight, as if he could strangle the grief still coiled around his throat. The housekeeper Clara had placed fresh lilies in the vase his wife's favorite. The scent made his stomach twist. "The nanny's here, sir," Clara murmured. Her voice dust dashed dry. Lena Carter stepped inside, her boots leaving faint prints on the polished floor. She was younger than he'd expected, her cardigan sleeves pushed up to reveal delicate wrists, a smudge of blue paint near her thumb. Daniel frowned. "Not what I pictured?" "Good," Lena said, meeting his gaze without flinching. "I'd hate to be predictable." The interview was a checklist. Certifications, emergency protocols, schedules. Daniel's pen tapped against the paper. Noah's routine is non-negotiable. Piano at 8, languages at 10. Nap it does he ever get. "To just play," Lena interrupted. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Play isn't productive." "Neither is a child who forgets how to breathe," she said softly. A muscle flickered in his temple. He led her upstairs. Noah's room was a museum of untouched toys. The boy sat by the window, stacking blocks with mechanical precision. He didn't. "Look up, Noah," Daniel said. "This is Miss Lena." Lena didn't crouch or coo. She sat cross-legged on the rug, picked up a stray block, and began building a bridge toward Noah's tower. The boy's fingers paused. After a minute, he added a block to her structure. Daniel's breath caught. Noah hadn't shared a toy in 2 years. That night, as Lena left, Daniel stood at the gate longer than necessary. "You'll start Monday," he said, but his eyes lingered on the way the sunset gilded her hair. Back inside, he passed Noah's door jar. The boy was whispering to someone. Daniel pushed it open. The room was empty. "Who were you talking to?" he asked. Eyes darted. "To the closet. The shadow lady. She says Mommy didn't mean to leave." Daniel's blood turned to ice. The house was too quiet after midnight. Lena lay awake in the guest room, sound of the ocean a distant hum through the glass walls. She had checked on Noah twice already, once at midnight when she heard his door creak open, and again at 1:17 a.m. when a soft whimper cut through the dark. Both times he had been asleep. His small body curled tight under the blankets, but something felt wrong. She slipped out of bed, padding barefoot down the hallway. The security system's faint blue glow outlined the doors, casting long shadows that seemed to shift when she wasn't looking. Noah's door was slightly ajar again. Lena pushed it open. Noah sat upright in bed, his eyes wide and unblinking. "Fixed on the closet? Noah?" she whispered. He didn't answer. His fingers clutched the sheets, knuckles white. Lena stepped closer, following his gaze. The closet door was shut, but the air around it felt thick, like the moment before a storm. She reached for the gondola floorboard creaked behind her. She spun around. Nothing. Just the empty room. The dim glow of a nightlight, and Noah still staring. Then very softly he said, "She's here." Morning. A crack in the perfect world, Daniel was already at the breakfast table when Lena came downstairs. His tablet propped beside his coffee. He didn't look up as she entered. "Noah had another nightmare," she said. Daniel's fingers paused. "Over the screen, he has them often." This was different. He wasn't just scared. He was frozen, like he saw something. Daniel finally met her eyes. Children imagine things, not like this. She hesitated. He mentioned the shadow lady again. A flicker of something fear. Anger passed over Daniel's face before he shut it down. He's processing grief in his own way. Lena wanted to push, but Clara entered with Noah, his small hand tucked in hers. The boy was pale, dark circles under his eyes. "Morning, sunshine," Lena said, forcing a lightness she didn't feel. Noah didn't. "Smile." He climbed into his chair and stared at his untouched pancakes. Daniel's phone buzzed. He stood abruptly. "I have a call." Lena watched him leave, then turned to Noah. "Want to tell me about the shadow lady?" Noah's fork clattered onto the plate. Clara's grip tightened on his shoulder. Perhaps less questioning, more eating. "Yes." Lena saw it the way Noah's eyes darted toward the hallway where Daniel had disappeared, like he was afraid of being overheard. The security feed that afternoon while Noah napped, Lena found Daniel in his office. "I need to see the security footage from last night." Daniel didn't look up from his laptop. "Why?" "Because I think someone was in Noah's room." His head snapped up. "What?" She told him about the creaking floorboard, the way Noah had stared at the closet. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he pulled up the feed. The screen showed Noah's room in grayscale. The bed, the dresser, the closet. For hours, nothing moved. Then, at 2:43 a.m. a flicker, the closet door opened by itself. Lena's breath caught. Daniel leaned forward, his fingers gripping the edge of the desk. For 3 seconds, the door stayed open. Then it swung shut again. Noah sat up in bed, his small form rigid. The feed cut to static. Daniel slammed the laptop closed. "It's a glitch. It's not." "Lena." His voice was low, dangerous. "Drop it." She should have listened. But that night, when the house was asleep, she crept back to Noah's room and opened the closet inside. Tucked behind a row of tiny shoes was a single silver hairpin, the kind his mother used to wear. The kiss in the storm the next day. Rain lashed against the windows, trapping them inside. Noah was quieter than usual, his sketchbook filled with dark scribbles, a woman with long hair, standing in a doorway. Daniel worked late. Avoiding them, Lena found him in the greenhouse, staring at the storm through the glass. "You can't ignore this," she said. He didn't turn. "I'm protecting him." From what? Finally, he faced her. "You wouldn't understand. Try me." The rain drummed harder. Daniel's eyes were shadowed, his voice raw. "My wife didn't just die in that car accident. Lena, she was running from something." Lena stepped closer. "What was she running from?" He didn't answer. Instead, his hand came up, brushing a raindrop from her cheek. His touch lingered. The air between them crackled. Then a crash from upstairs. Noah's room, they ran, the reflection. In the window, Noah was standing on his bed, his back pressed to the wall, staring at the window. Lena rushed to him. What's wrong?" His small finger trembled as he pointed. Outside, in the rain-streaked glass, a woman's face flickered just for a second before vanishing. Noah whispered, "She's back." Daniel paled, because the face in the window, it was his wife's. The rain hadn't stopped. It hammered against the windows, turning the glass into a blurred, watery mirror. Noah was curled in Lena's lap now, his small fingers clutching her sweater, like she might disappear if he let go. Daniel stood frozen by the door, his face ashen. "She's back." The words hung in the air, sharp as broken glass. Lena smoothed Noah's hair. "Who is sweetheart?" Noah didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the window where the reflection had been. Daniel finally moved, crossing the room in 3 strides. He yanked the curtains shut. It was the storm, just the light playing tricks. But his hands were shaking. Lena met his gaze over Noah's head. "We need to talk." The file in the desk after Noah fell into an exhausted sleep, Lena followed Daniel. To his study, he poured himself a drink, the amber liquid sloshing dangerously close to the rim. "Tell me the truth," she said. "Who is that in the window?" Daniel drained the glass. "You wouldn't believe me." "Try me." A beat of silence. Bottom drawer of his desk and pulled out a file. Inside were photographed security stills, grainy and blurred. A woman in a dark coat standing at the edge of the property, always at night, always watching. Lena's breath caught. "Is that my wife?" Daniel's voice was hollow. "Yes, or something that looks like her." Lena flipped through the photos. The woman's face was turned away, but the slope of her shoulders, the way she held herself, it was unmistakable. "She died 2 years ago," Daniel continued. But a month after the funeral, the security cameras started catching. This, he tapped the most recent photo. And then Noah began talking about the shadow lady. Lena's skin prickled.
"You think
"It's her ghost?" Daniel laughed, sharp and humorless. "But I do believe someone wants me to think I'm losing my mind." "Who?" His jaw tightened. "Victor Kane." The rival's visit Victor arrived unannounced the next morning. Lena recognized him from the society pages tall, silver-haired, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He clasped Daniel's shoulder like they were old friends, but the tension between them was a live wire. "Daniel, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd check in." Victor's gaze slid to Lena. "And you must be the new nanny." Something in his tone made her spine stiffen. Noah, who had been playing quietly with blocks, went utterly still. Victor crouched in front of him. "Hello, Noah. You've grown so much since I last saw you." Noah didn't answer. His small hands clenched around a block, his knuckles white. Daniel stepped between them. "What do you want, Victor?" Victor straightened, still smiling. "Can't a friend visit? Cut the act." Victor sighed. "Fine. The board is concerned. You've missed 3 meetings, and the London deal is stalling." His eyes flicked to Noah. "Distractions can be costly, Daniel." Lena saw it then. The way Victor's gaze lingered on Noah a second too long, like the boy was a specimen under glass. Daniel's voice dropped to a warning growl. "Get out." Victor left, but not before slipping a business card into Lena's hand. "If you ever want to know the truth about this family," he murmured, "call me." The kiss in the greenhouse that night. Lena found Daniel in the greenhouse again, his shoulders hunched under the weight of everything unsaid. The storm had passed, but the air was still charged, thick with the scent of damp earth and night-blooming jasmine. She handed him Victor's card. "He's playing games." Daniel crumpled it in his fist. "Victor doesn't play games. He wins them." "Then why target you?" "Because of her." Daniel's voice cracked. "Because of what she knew." Lena stepped closer. "Tell me." And he did. His wife hadn't just been a socialite, she'd been a neuroscientist. Before she died, she was working on a breakthrough in pediatric memory therapy. Something that could rewrite trauma. Something powerful. "Victor wanted her research," Daniel said. She refused to hand it over. A week later, her car went off the road. Lena's stomach twisted. "You think he killed her?" Daniel didn't answer. His eyes were dark, haunted. The space between them vanished. One moment, they were standing apart. The next, Lena's hands were in his hair, his mouth hot against hers. The kiss was desperate. Hungry a collision of 2 people who'd been drowning too long. Daniel pulled back first, his breath ragged. "We can't." A scream cut through the night. Noah, the missing boy, they found his bed empty. The window was open, curtains fluttering in the breeze. On the pillow lay a single silver hairpin, and on the floor, a note in shaky handwriting. "You should have given him to me when you had the chance." Daniel's knees buckled. Somewhere in the house, a clock struck midnight, and outside, in the darkness, a woman's laughter echoed. The note crumpled in Daniel's fist. Lena was already moving, grabbing her phone, her jacket, her keys, anything to keep from screaming. The house felt too big around them, the walls pressing in with the weight of Noah's absence. "You should have given him to me when you had the chance." Daniel's voice was barely human. "Victor took him." Lena shook her head. "No, Victor was here tonight. He wouldn't risk it himself." "Then who?" A memory flashed Noah's whisper. "The Shadow Lady." Lena turned and ran. The abandoned lab Daniel's wife had kept secrets. Lena found the files hidden behind a false panel in the study research notes. Clinical trials, a list of children's names with Noah's circled in red. At the bottom of the stack was an address, 47 Blackwood Lane, an old biotech facility. Daniel's hands shook as he flipped through the pages. This was her work, the memory trials. She was trying to help kids like Noah, kids who'd witnessed trauma. Lena pointed to a footnote. Subject 12 showed regression after exposure to beta wave frequencies. Recommend termination of trial. Daniel went very still. She never told me it went this far. Lena shoved the files into her bag. "We're getting him back." The drive was a blur of rain-slick roads and streetlights stretching into the distance. The facility loomed ahead, a concrete block half swallowed by ivy. Windows boarded up, a chain-link fence sagging under its own rust. Daniel cut the engine. If Victor's here, he won't be. Lena unbuckled her seatbelt. This isn't his style. They broke in through a side door. The air inside was thick with mildew and something sharper antiseptic, stale and old. The hallway led to a central lab, equipment still set up as if waiting for someone to return. And in the center of the room, strapped to a chair, was Noah, alive. Unharmed, asleep. Lena rushed to him, fingers scrambling at the restraints. Noah, wake up, Daniel, grabbed her wrist. Because Noah wasn't alone. A woman stood in the shadows, her back to them, her dark hair falling over her shoulders. Daniel's breath caught. Alina. The woman turned. It was his wife. The ghost in the machine. She looked exactly as he remembered, the curve of her cheek, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. But her eyes were wrong. Too bright, too aware. Daniel staggered back. This isn't possible. The woman smiled. You always were a skeptic. Lena stepped between them, shielding Noah. What did you do to him? Nothing he wasn't already part of. She gestured to the machines humming around them. I needed to finish what I started. Daniel's voice cracked. You died, did I? She tilted her head. Or did I just become something else? A screen flickered to life behind her security footage. Of the car crash, the twisted metal, the empty driver's seat. No body. Lena's blood ran cold. You faked it, Eleanor. Whatever she was, now it's mild. Victor was getting too close. I had to disappear. Daniel's hands clenched. And Noah. What the hell is he to you? An experiment. A breakthrough. She touched Noah's hair, her fingers lingering. His memories hold the key to perfecting the therapy. I just needed him here where I could work. Lena wrenched the last restraint free and scooped Noah into her arms. He stirred but didn't wake, his head lolling against her shoulder. Daniel moved in front of them, blocking Elena's path. You don't touch him again, Elena sighed. You never understood, Daniel. This was never about you. Then the lights went out. Victor's ultimatum, when the backup generators kicked in, Elena was gone. The lab door stood open, a trail of wet footprints leading into the dark. Noah's pulse fluttered against Lena's palm, steady, but too slow. Daniel's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Bring the research to Pier 17 by dawn, or the boy disappears for good. Attached was a photo of Alina, bound and gagged in a warehouse. Lena's stomach dropped. She wasn't working alone. Daniel's face hardened. Victor set this up. He's been playing us from the start. Noah whimpered in Lena's arms, his eyelids fluttering. When he spoke, his voice wasn't his on it was Elena's. They're coming for him, Daniel. You have to let me go. Then his eyes rolled back, and he went limp. The pier at dawn was a graveyard of fog and rotting wood. Daniel stood at the edge. The research files clutched in his hands, the weight of them heavier than any deal he'd ever brokered. Lena waited in the car with Noah, his small body curled. Under a blanket, still unconscious, still changed, Victor emerged from the mist, flanked by two men in black. Daniel. He spread his arms. I knew you'd see reason. Daniel didn't move. Where's Alina? Victor smirked and nodded toward the warehouse. Alive. For now, a lie. Daniel knew it in his bones. Alina was already gone, had been gone for years. Whatever spoke through Noah wasn't his wife. It was something else, something wrong. But he played along. Let me see her. Victor tossed him a key. The research first. Daniel held up the files, then dropped them into the water below. Victor's face twisted. You idiot, Daniel, lunged. The fight in the dark, the warehouse was a maze of crates and chains, shadows stretching like claws across the floor. Daniel moved on instinct, dodging Victor's men, his knuckles splitting on bone. Somewhere in the chaos, a gun went off. Then he saw her. Alana wore the thing wearing her face strapped to a chair, her head lolling. Her lips moved, but the voice wasn't hers. Daniel, ... Help me, ... He froze. Behind him, Victor laughed. You still don't get it, do you? She volunteered for this. Wanted to live forever inside the tech she created. He tapped his temple. Just the vessel. Daniel's vision went red. He didn't remember grabbing the pipe, didn't remember swinging it, but he'd never forget the sound of Victor's skull hitting the concrete. The shadow's end. Elena found him kneeling beside Elena's body, his hands stained with blood that wasn't his. Noah stirred in her arms, his eyes fluttering open, his eyes clear and scared. Dad. Daniel pulled him close, his voice breaking. I'm here. The warehouse shuddered. A machine in the corner sparked, its screens flashing with Elena's face before going dark forever. Victor's men were gone. The research was destroyed, and the shadow lady, she was finally silent. Epilogue. The family 1 year later, the house by the sea was full of light. Noah's laughter echoed down the halls, his nightmares fading with each passing day. Lena's paintings covered the walls wild, colorful things that Daniel couldn't name but loved anyway. On the porch at sunset, Noah pressed a seashell into Daniel's hand. For Mom, he whispered. Daniel tucked it into his pocket, next to the ring he'd bought Lena. Somewhere beyond the waves, the past was buried. But here, they were finally free.